the long story short is I eventually did omega-3 testing on myself. I did blood tests. I actually did a YouTube video on it. I did blood tests, and just from diet alone, I was not getting enough omega-3s. My omega-3 index was only like 4.3 or 4.5, and you want it to be between 8 and 12%. And so I was like, okay, I'm not getting enough. And I was only eating fish, a few times a week, maybe not twice a week, or maybe the quality that I was eating wasn't enough, or wasn't very good. So I did start taking fish oil supplements, and I tested my blood 3-4 months later, and thankfully I was in the 9% range.
So it really did help.
Yeah, it did really help me. So that's at least kind of my story of kind of how I found. I still eat a lot of vegetables. I try to eat kind of an ancestral Mediterranean diet is what I like to say, because it's less processed food, right? I think everybody who's ever been on your show is probably saying the same thing: less processed.
I mean, it's the awakening for that now is very refreshing in society, because it's like, so it doesn't surprise me at all when you're talking about some of the veterans you would see coming in, and the ones who seem to be doing well are literally the ones who are like, yeah, I just exercise and my diet's pretty good. I'm eating natural foods. Like,
yeah.
At the end of the day, I really believe 95% of our problems are quite literally caused by either not exercising or really a combination of what the shit you're putting in your mouth.
Yeah.
That's a lot of the battle too.
And I think there's more and more evidence that's coming out, even in the eye care field. There's a lot of new research in the gut microbiome, even affecting the eyes. And so that's a whole other fascinating area.
Well, can we go into that for a second?
Sure, yeah.
And we are coming to blue light, people. Don't worry, we're getting there. There's just a lot of interesting shit here. But the other medical awakening, if you will, about the second brain in the body being the gut, and how much that causes, I'm saying not literally, but figuratively, how much so many of your downstream health problems are actually caused by what's going on in here, is something that's really changing a lot of people's opinions on how to, attack a problem. But you mentioned it yourself. You had some of your own gut problems and started solving that, and then the downstream effects into your health completely changed. So, I would imagine we're making a lot of progress there, and we're still like kind of just scraping the surface of what we know about what the gut can do to the body. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, 100%. It's only been like maybe 8 to 10 years that they started having the capability to better look and understand at all the different organisms in our gut, so that they're starting to understand more of it. I am not a gastroenterologist, but I've been really fascinated. So I've been reading.
You are today. Let's go.
But I study a lot, at least when it pertains to the eye. The research that's being published around eye health and various eye diseases, and how they're looking at the gut microbiome. So I read a lot of that. And I've done, again, a few videos on it. So as far as we've known for a long time that there is some connection between the gut and the eyes. And I say that because there's some eye conditions that are directly related. So there is generalized inflammation in the eye that we call a uveitis. And there are some people, when they have a history of gastrointestinal upset, they have chronic diarrhea, they have Crohn's disease, things like that, they are more likely to get this significant inflammation inside the eye. So their eyes red, it's painful, they get like a dull, achy pain, they come in, their vision's fuzzy, and I can see white blood cells floating inside the eye, kind of looking like a snow globe, like you shook up a snow globe. You can see white blood cells floating around. And so some people, it's because they have inflammation in their gut, and somehow it's causing inflammation in their eye. So we've known that for some time. There's another condition called Gardner syndrome, where they'll actually have like pigment in the back of both eyes. And if we see pigment in the back of one eye, we're like, okay, not a big deal. But if we catch the pigment in the retina on both eyes, then that's a high association with Gardner syndrome. And we have to send them to get colonoscopy, because there's really high chance of developing like colon cancer. So it's, again, we've known that there's some connection with the gut and the eye for a long time. And now they've been studying and finding, hey, when people have this gut dysbiosis, they have certain strains of microbes in their gut that have been thrown off. They're more likely to have autoimmune-related dry eye issues. They're more likely to have inflammation in the retina from central serous. They may not absorb other nutrients in their gut, like taking supplements, and they're at higher risk of developing macular degeneration. Diabetes is advanced, and diabetic retinopathy specifically is advanced worse. There's one study on mice that was really fascinating, where they took diabetic mice and mice are not humans, but they took diabetic mice and non-diabetic mice. And what they did is they took a gut transplant. They took the fecal transplant from the diabetic mice and the fecal transplant from the healthy mice, and they switched the two. Basically, they force-fed like a poop pill to these mice. And what happened is that they seeded their gut, and the healthy mice started developing diabetic retinopathy or bleeding in their retina in the back of the eye. For the diabetic mice that had retinopathy, their retinopathy started to improve and go away.
Just because they ate each other's shit.
Essentially, yeah. And so again, mice are not humans, but it also is a key to kind of the story. Like there is something with the metabolites from the food we eat and how our gut is digesting it, the metabolites that are produced by the microbes in our gut, they affect the inflammatory response throughout the whole body. And so I think there is a lot to it. And so I focus on fiber, eating plenty of fiber throughout my day. And I would love to have a conversation with a gastroenterologist about the different types of fiber, because people are like, oh, I take Metamucil. Well, like the one type of fiber. And there's soluble fiber, there's insoluble fiber, there's fermentable fiber and fermentable fiber. And so I think there's still a lot more to understand, but...
You know what? I should know way more about that, because I do look at fiber very macro, 30,000 foot in the air level, like, oh, fiber. But I'm a big avocados guy, for example, which has a lot of fiber in it. Does it have the types of fiber that are all those different ones, or is it one specifically only?
I personally don't have all those answers. Again, I'm hoping to have a gastroenterologist on my own podcast at some point to figure that out. I will say the nice thing about avocados, because this is kind of a segue back into
so avocado. Sorry, Deep just pulled this up. Avocados contain both soluble and insoluble fiber. Yeah, but continue.
Good. So a nice thing about avocado, along with pistachios, along with the green leafy vegetables, is that they contain what is called lutein and zeaxanthin. You look at me like you've never heard this before.
Yeah, I haven't.
So this is the genius behind the green leafy vegetables. So if you think, why is it that green leafy vegetables are so protective for the eye? Well, they have high concentrations of what are called xanthophyll carotenoids. I know I'm just throwing out these crazy terms, right?
I love it. It's great.
So xanthophyll carotenoids, there's over 600, almost 700 in nature. We only eat about 50. And of those 50 we eat, 2 deposit directly in the eye.
Okay.
Technically 3, but the vast majority of it's 2. And that's lutein and zeaxanthin. And this goes back to blue light in some way, so we'll get there. So lutein, zeaxanthin, they have protective roles inside the eye, both for, really for 3 things. One is that it works as an anti-inflammatory. 2, as an antioxidant. So if there's any oxidative stress from high energy light or any inflammatory process from disease or again, high energy, that's protective. And then the third part is that it actually is a yellow substance. It's what makes avocados and pistachios kind of a green-yellow color. And when it deposits inside the eye, it filters high-energy blue light. So your body has this natural, it's known all this time that when you eat these vegetables and other foodstuffs that have this xanthophyll carotenoid, it deposits directly to the eye and at high concentrations in the area that is going to be receiving the most dense of high-energy light. And it shields it.
Whoa.
And the scary thing is, again, most people don't eat enough fruits and veggies. And so we don't, the vast majority of the population only gets about 1 to 2 milligrams of lutein a day.
I'm getting a lot more than that.
And you should be getting somewhere between, depending on the publication, somewhere between 10 to 30 milligrams a day.
I'm pretty, like listening to you talk, I'm pretty pumped about my diet right now. I eat the same exact lunch every single day. I do like 2 grilled chicken breasts, a full bowl of broccoli, a plate of brown rice, an apple, an avocado, a protein shake, couple pieces of dark chocolate, 85%, and then a banana.
Making me hungry, man.
I'm loaded.
Yeah.
It's great.
And so that's, So lutein, zeaxanthin, they are protective. And as you get more in your body, but if we had one of our devices, we can measure what's called macular pigment optical density, or MPOD testing. And so this measures the amount of pigment deposited in the back of the eye. And so the more lutein, the more zeaxanthin you get in your diet, the more pigment you get, the more protective it is. And we see less likelihood of aging eye diseases in the individuals who have higher amounts of that pigment.
Wow.
And so, unfortunately, the vast majority of people come in, if we do MPOD testing, they're at like 0.2, 0.3 for MPOD testing, and you want to be at 0.5 or greater.
But you can improve to that if you make changes.
Yeah, and so I always will support diet first, right? Try to eat whole, healthy foods first. And then for people who are just honest, they're like, I'm not going to eat that much leafy greens. They just don't like it, or they just think even digestion that gives them upset stomach or something. Like some people can't handle broccoli.
Hit that AG1.
No, I wouldn't go there. I can't. I don't know actually any of their clinical studies, but they kind of have a bad reputation now, don't they? Here and there. Some people really love it.
I've never been sponsored by them before, so I don't know much about them, but I would love to know in the comments if you have a bad experience on that.
I've tried various green shake supplements, stuff like that, and they taste good usually. I think they have spirulina in them. It's supposed to be good, but there are supplements, and so eye care is one of the only, because there's some doctors out there, especially on social media, who are very anti-supplement, and I get that because it has a bad reputation, because there's not really the best legal oversight of verifying that supplements are actually, one, safe, two, that they're actually effective. There's a lot of bad players.
There's a lot of bullshit in supplements.
There's a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
And I can talk about my own issues with AI people making fake videos of me, deep fakes, to try and sell bullshit vitamins I would never endorse.
No.
But so in the field of eye care, because of what are called the ARED studies that I referenced before, if somebody has an intermediate stage of macular degeneration, it is standard of care for us to recommend or at least discuss starting a supplement for the eye, because those studies showed that for the people with that disease, you could slow down that disease by about 25% over the course of 5 years. And so there are benefits in that specific case to taking those supplements. Now, with lutein zeaxanthin, and those supplements contain lutein zeaxanthin, they've done a lot more studies on the function of your vision, not just reducing eye disease development, but if you want to see better, you want to have better contrast, right? As an artist, you want to see colors more in depth.
That's right.
Right? Or not even an artist. You're somebody who just appreciates the beauty of nature. You want to enjoy your life to the highest degree. You can boost your contrast in your vision. You can reduce glare at nighttime while you're driving. You can have better visual memory for kids' development, for elderly. Taking lutein and zeaxanthin, if you're not getting it through diet, you can take a supplement, and they've shown this with supplementation alone, that you can have these benefits. And so a lot of professional athletes, like baseball players, will take supplements with lutein zeaxanthin because their vision is that much sharper. If you can react that much quicker. And then they've even, just this last year, 2024, Dr. Stringham and Dr. Nolan, they're two doctors I know, they did a research study using a lutein-based supplement that people who took that had reduced levels of oxidized lipoproteins.
Which means?
So various lipoproteins that are involved in atherosclerosis development, so leading toward plaque development, heart attack, stroke.
Right.
They showed that people who took those supplements had significantly reduced levels of these basically inflammatory markers in the blood that are associated with atherosclerosis development.
God damn. Imagine what's going to happen now as we are combining the power of artificial intelligence to do these studies and things. I mean, you're imagining a lot more than me. You're in the space. You're in medicine. But, I don't like to get ahead of myself and get overexcited about like, oh my God, we're going to solve every problem ever. But like, it's hard not to be excited what we're going to see in the next 10 to 15 years, whether we're talking about this or cancer or you name it, where you guys are basically going to be able to attach like a fucking nitro turbocharger to any type of research you do, and almost like, not to use the term, but let's use the term, like biohack the bodies, all of our bodies to be able to work for ourselves rather than working against it like we've done for so long.
Right. I hope that that's how it ends up getting used. Again, there's a lot of garbage out there. You can find research studies to support anything you want. Right.
Yes.
So there's going to be this growth period where we got to figure out how the AI is working. Can it be trusted? It has to always have some form of human review verification. But they are using like AI robots now to do cataract surgery. They're using it certainly to, I personally don't use it too much in regular patient care, but I know doctors who are using it at least to document their charts. Because
you walk in, doc, my eyes are fucked. All right, hold on, ChatGPT.
Well, it's usually not chat like that.
I know you're not. I'm just messing with you.
Right, but like they would be recording everything we say during an exam. Rather than depending on me typing everything in, it's just listening to everything we say and it's documenting word for word and then organizing it so that it makes it easier for me. Legally, it's charting everything that's being said or done. And it's like, it's going to make us more efficient. And then from the evaluation standpoint, the eye care specifically is already way more advanced than a lot of other professions because we image so many things. Like we take photos of the back of your eye. So there's already decades of photos of forms of diabetes or forms of glaucoma that have already been annotated by doctors that they can just feed into these AI systems. And the AI is now getting better at detecting bleeding in the back of the eye and knowing what the next protocol is than humans are. So it's going to get to that point where we're almost going to, I hate to put ourselves out of a job in a way, because now we'll just have this machine tell you exactly, hey, this is what's likely going on. Here's probably the next best steps. But there's always the question of legality. Like what happens if it's wrong? Who's at fault?
Right. I think there's also, and again, we don't know this world until we're in it, but there's, from the perspective of just like a human going for help, there's going to be a huge aspect of someone who can take all the power of AI and the data and actually be an expert in understanding, putting that all together to make a personalized call for the patient sitting in front of them. I think stuff like, we always talk about these jobs like cooks and gardeners and stuff that are going to be like the last to go because of the way the motion works to be able to actually do these things. But I think jobs like doctors as well, like there's always going to be a need for something like that.
Yeah.
It'll develop, it'll evolve side by side in a way, I think.
Yeah, I think especially from the legal standpoint, it's going to have some oversight, but doctors are going to end up being kind of like software engineers in a way. We're just going to be sitting behind a computer and evaluating and then being the communicator. Because that's where, for as awesome as technology is going, the value, I forgot who said it, but as the world becomes more dominated by AI, the value of human connection is going to become even more important.
Agreed.
And I think that's even why podcasts have grown to be so amazing, is because we miss this communication and this human connection. Yeah. And so I think it's like, you can get in 20 years from now, you can get an eye exam done by this computer robot, but if you really want to be heard by a real human being, you want to have a conversation.
Yes.
You want that human touch. You're gonna pay more for that.
Yeah. It is gonna be a brave new world though. One last question on diet, and then we're going to go full-blown into blue light.
Let's do it.
Is there any, related to the eyes, is there any data to suggest like intermittent fasting is something with cellular regeneration that helps? I've been an intermittent faster for the last 9 years. It's helped me in a lot of other ways in my life.
Yeah.
But, does it assist the eyes at all?
There is some evidence that there's benefits to it. It's usually not direct evidence. So I did a video on this. So I actually researched a little bit because one of my best friends, he also, fasting changed his life. He's experimented with 10-day fasts, and he's experimented with, just intermittent
10 days.
He's done a lot. He went a little extreme into it. It helped him a lot, especially with weight loss and things like that. But doing, 12, he basically would eat one meal a day, or he'd go a few days fasting. So I was always interested because he had such positive benefits. I tried a little bit myself. And then I was like, okay, well, what is there anything to this specifically for the eyes? It's always, and you're that same way. I can tell you kind of bring this genuine curiosity. I want to figure this out. So I apply that to a lot of my videos too. I'm like, well, what is going on? So a lot of the research is based on people fasting for like Ramadan.
Okay.
But they do find some benefits that during fasting state, the eye pressure may go down just a little bit. It may not be clinically significant, but it may go down a little bit. That may be protective for glaucoma. There are people who report improvements with their dry eye with it. Nothing, again, super clinically meaningful. But there are hypotheses that the autophagy, I'm sure you've heard that term before, where the bodies are always trying to clean up dead cells and make itself more efficient.
Starts at, I think the optimal time where it like really starts kicking in, I want to say, I'm not looking at it right now, would be like the 12 to 14 hour mark is when that really ramps up.
Right. And there's different ways to do intermittent fasting. And so there's like some people who know intermittent fast for 12 hours or you only eat during kind of a 4 or 8 hour window during the day. There's different ways to do it, right? But they do say that when you are doing fasting, your body does go into this autophagy state where it's kind of heightened. And so there is kind of this idea that if you are intermittent fasting, this may help all these different parts of your body, but it may also help with regeneration or cleaning up cells within the back of the eye, which again, in the retina is one of those highly metabolic tissues. So it may have a protective effect. I also think for people just losing weight, we know that
oh, for sure, yeah,
that's going to help with a lot of other things, especially sensitivities to diabetes.
As long as you're doing things in a healthy manner, you know, like there's people who will do like crash diet kind of like fasting where they're like, all right, I'll fast 2 days at a time and do this on repeat for like 60 days and they lose 50 pounds and then, you know, they get off it and they put it all back on. Like as long as you're doing it in like a healthy, natural way, like my way's simple. Like I just don't have breakfast. I haven't had that in years. I eat in about, you know, a 6-7 hour window every day. Feel great. It's repeatable, easy. On the weekends, if I want to go out and have a good fucking time, I do. You know, that's it.
So I've been largely kind of in that same boat for a long time, except a few years ago, I started weightlifting. And if you're going to start to try to like bulk up, you need a ton of calories. And it was like a homework assignment. So I did start eating breakfast just so I could get those extra calories in. And then I got injured my shoulders and I had to kind of like, then I couldn't lift as much. So I had to drop back down, but it's something I want to try to get back into.
You're looking good.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm trying to hold
the biceps going.
So yeah, intermittent fasting, there may be something to it. We don't have the most ridiculous studies to support it, but I think if it's done safely, if it's done to manage diet and somewhat weight control, I say all power to you.
Yeah.
There are certainly specialists and books out there who go way more into it. But as far as protection for the eye, there's at least some evidence to support it may be protective against some diseases.
Good to know. I got to look at that more.
Yeah.
As well. That was another one of those things, like I started doing it by accident, long story, like 9 years ago. And then I didn't really look at all the benefits of it until like I was a few years in. And I was like, whoa, like this is actually like maybe how we're meant to be, you know,
right.
Just eating on 2 meals a day.
There is one other kind of interesting side note, and that this came from my friend. Again, he brought up to me, he's like, when I'm fasting and I'm hit like a day or two, he's like, my vision is better. My eyesight is clear. And there's two components that I can hypothesize. One is that so there's a mental clarity component where his attention, his focus is enhanced, and that might just be a subjective feeling that his vision is more in focus. But then there's this other part where it could be a blood sugar change that is in fact helping his vision improve. And that's because as people's blood sugar is out of control, let's say somebody is pre-diabetic or is diabetic, as more glucose is in your bloodstream, the lens inside the eye can swell. And when it swells, the lens changes shape and the power of the eye changes. And so when people are severely diabetic and they come in, they have their eye exam, we're like, wow, your powers have shifted a lot, and then they get put on medication, and then it drops down, the lens swelling goes away, and now they don't need as strong glasses anymore.
Wow.
So there could be two things component to it. But the mental clarity is always fascinating to me for how many people, it's not just him, a lot of other people online claim that like when they're fasting. Do you feel that? Or?
Yeah, there's a weird window there. Like I'm going to try to do it once a year now where I do a 72-hour fast to like clear the system, because there's some good science that the optimization of autophagy that happens when you do that, and like ketosis is really good. I did one of those in June. What was strange is I kept my workout schedule the same. I don't know if you should do that, but I was like 38 hours in, and I remember when I'd been at like 24, so I started it like a night, and then so 24 hours later, like at night, I felt like low energy. But then when I woke up that next morning at, 30 some hours or something like that, I felt good and clear. And I went in and did my like full deadlift day, and I was moving. It was very, very strange. So there were some weird energy bursts. But then I would say when I woke up the third day, I was like, we're pushing this. Like it's going to be tough getting to 72. And it was.
I think there might be something to be said. And again, I don't study this incredibly, but just my own thought is that if you're kind of in this state where you're 3 days in, your body's recognizing I need to find food. Mm-hmm. I'm starving. And so there's that survival instinct of like becoming hyper-focused. I also need to expend more energy, maybe in a sympathetic tone, to be like, I need to find and hunt because I need to survive. Yeah. So maybe there's something there. I don't know. I'll have to. It's another thing. If I have more time, maybe I'll dig into it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it on a future podcast for sure.
There we go.
But this thing right here,
I've
been getting at it all day. In 2007, iPhone comes out. By 2011, it's widely adopted. By 2015, it's almost completely adopted. And obviously, Google Android, same kind of issue right here. And now today, it's ubiquitous with every single thing we do, everywhere we go. Our whole life is in this thing. And just evolutionarily speaking, human beings did not evolve over the last 6,000 years or however long you want to say we've been around to look at a screen like this and read in small font, here or here, and scroll at all times with our eyesight. So what is, from your medical perspective, what are the main issues you have seen develop over, say, even the last 5 years or something like that you believe is directly tied to, let's start with just blue light, and then we'll work our way to the phone itself.
Okay. So just blue light. So the vast majority of blue light isn't actually doing anything. And so that's a big issue that people get confused about. Yes, blue light will affect your sleep cycle. But it's not just blue light, it's actually all light. So there is a receptor in the back of the eye that they didn't know about till about 10, 15 years ago called an ipRGC, an intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cell. And it doesn't communicate eyesight or vision to you to be able to see. It simply is a receptor to pick up light energy and tell the brain, is there light out there? And evolutionary-wise, where did light come from? The sun. Mm-hmm. And so there is those receptors are very sensitive to blue light, but it is still sensitive to other wavelengths of light. So the whole point is that, you wake up in the morning, you see sun, and that tells your brain, these receptors pick that up, like, hey, the sun is out, shut down the melatonin. We want you to be awake. Sun goes down, or imagine we're in a world where we don't have artificial light. Sun goes down, then those receptors aren't getting that light signal and say, okay, it's time to slow down, time to go to bed. Right. You release melatonin, you get sleepy, you have a better night's sleep. Now, the problem is that we're now surrounded by artificial light everywhere. And so we get this extra light signal to, hey, it's still light out. So we're kind of delaying our melatonin later and later, and our sleep quality goes down. A lot of the issues with modern technology, whether it be TV screens, computer screens, and actually just LED lights in a lot of the places, they're more energy efficient now. but they emit higher wavelengths of blue light than older forms of lighting. So older, just
This does.
oh yeah, compared to the older yellow light bulbs, maybe we grew up with, or even just candlelight. Way more on the yellow spectrum,
Right.
warmer colors. They still will trigger those receptors in the eye, but not as intensely as the blue light will. And so that is one factor that will affect your sleep cycle. Now, the blue light glasses that are out there, if they are a darker orange color of a blue light glasses, they will help slow down or reduce the amount of light hitting those receptors. And they have shown in studies that those type of dark orange glasses do help with establishing a better melatonin production compared to the people who are just staring at an iPad before bed. Now, is it clinically meaningful? That's the question I don't really have an answer to, because there are people who claim anecdotally, hey, I sleep better when I wear these orange glasses at nighttime. Great. That's something to keep trying if you feel it helps you. But if you're still staying up at night, still scrolling your screen, you're still surrounded by lights, there is still light coming from the side of the glasses, the regular light, just the dopamine surge you get from scrolling social media, that may also be affecting your sleep cycles.
Oh, yeah.
So this is where I would love to have a sleep specialist come in and answer kind of what they see or what they've studied on the effect of just device use on the effect of sleep.
Oh, that would be a cool podcast. You with like a sleep expert in here
Right.
as well.
Because the reality is that most of the blue light from screens is such a low energy, it's not going to make a clinically meaningful impact
Interesting.
to the health of the eye or necessarily the sleep cycle. It will to some extent.
Does it make any difference then at all that I haven't had blue light on this phone in 3 years?
You turned on
it's
the
turned off.
Yeah. Good.
Right.
The yellow, it kind of makes the screen a little bit more of a yellow color.
Right. So like if I have to go check a video before it goes out, I check it on the computer.
Yeah, because you shut off
I can see it because
the
I
color
can see
correction.
the exact. Yeah.
So they've shown also in that research that just turning it to that yellow mode also is like 90% effective at negating the blue light diminishment of your melatonin.
Okay.
So if you just turn that on, you probably don't need those blue light glasses unless, again, you're just super sensitive and you still have lights on and things like that. So the best practice is just shut off the device, switch to a paperback book at night, have yellow toned lights in the evening, not the bright white lights. The other thing to keep in mind is that the light coming from a device, the amount of blue light you get depends on how close it is to your face.
Oh, that's interesting.
So is something called the inverse square law. So basically, if you just double the distance, you've reduced that amount by 4 times. So the effect of most blue light glasses on the melatonin effect is just this.
This is getting a little in the weeds, but I don't know how much you're able to even measure this, but with kids who are now growing up with the phone in their hand and everything, are we seeing an average distance to the face a lot closer for kids than it is adults?
Actually, it's, kids do hold things closer to their face, but also adults do. I mean, even if people try to be like, I'm going to hold it out here.
Right.
If you watch them long enough, it'll gradually get closer and closer. And they've shown that in research studies. Most, they recommend, about 2 feet away or what, like the Harmon distance is what it's called, the distance from your elbow to your hand, and should be kind of equal distant from your eyes. But if you start there, it does gradually get closer and closer to about 5 inches away from the face. That's what people tend to do.
Right.
Again, the feeling of eye strain from phone use is compounded by the fact that you are having to use your eye muscles and you're holding that 5-pound weight all day long. 2 pound, the closer you get, you're increasing the weight, right? It's like I'm holding it at 5 pounds right here versus 2 pounds out here. And then the blink rate. So a lot of eye strain people experience is just their eyes are dry because they're not blinking enough and they're not blinking as completely. And so you got to kind of get a combination of all of that. And then people are like, I feel all this eye strain, I need the blue light glasses. Well, there's been no significant or no like meaningful clinical studies showing that blue light glasses do in fact reduce the feeling of eye strain.
Yeah, and the thing that's really coming across is, yes, there's still a difference between blue light and less blue light, like you were giving the example of like old candles or old light, but what I'm getting is that it's just I'm going to put a percentage on it, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe like 90% of it is really just light in general. And we are just really discriminating the blue light because that's what's on most people's phones, and we're associating the problem all as one.
100%.
So that's a myth in a way.
Very much. I think there is a sliver of truth to it, and that's how most myths start, right? The sliver of truth is that there is a receptor in the eye that is sensitive to blue light, and it does affect our sleep cycles. But the vast majority of the story is just that we're picking that as the bad guy, when it's actually just the fact that we're on these devices and we're not blinking enough, and we're on them all the time. So that's the big part of that story.
What are you seeing? Like now, if we talked more generally just about the phones, we just went through the distance from the face, and you've talked about the dry eye syndrome and not blinking as much. But like from like a ubiquitous addiction standpoint to technology that's foreign, it's not, you're not looking outdoors or something like that. You're just kind of chilling here. What are the main symptoms you're seeing come into your practice? Let's start with like kids in general.
Well, most kids, if it's related to screens, it is either they can't see in the distance now, or it's a feeling their eyes are strained, or they use that. My eyes hurt, or I'm getting headaches. And oftentimes it is because, I'll ask them, well, how much time do you spend on your phone? And they're like, not that long. And then mom's like, whatever, you're on there like all day long. And they open up the amount of hours, whatever it tells you. It's like, you're on there 13 plus hours a day. So that was even a bigger issue during COVID. That was definitely a big thing. So kids are spending a lot of time on those devices, and they're getting eye strain, they're getting headaches. Their risk for myopia again is going up because they're indoors staring at these phones all day. And then some kids do come in and their vision in the distance is reduced. And it could be because they've developed nearsightedness and they need glasses, but a lot of times it's because they have what's called an accommodative spasm.
Accommodative spasm.
So the muscle, like if you've had like a Charlie horse or a muscle spasm where it contracts, the muscles inside the eye can get locked in that position too. So they should be able to see in the distance just fine, but their muscles are locked into this plane up close. And so if you take away the phone, or if we can, sometimes in the eye clinic, we can give them medication that will paralyze that muscle inside the eye, and it'll relax and let go. And all of a sudden they can see again. Almost
like a Valium for the eye.
In a way, but
like, not at all.
Not at all. But it is so that's another issue we see a lot of times with younger individuals, but even adults, because this happens every week. There's some person who's like, I started a new job. I've been there for 3-4 months, and it's all on the computer, and I'm getting eye strain, headaches, dryness, all these different things. I tried the blue light glasses, and they didn't really do anything. Like every doctor hears that like 3-4 times a day, and there is benefit to, you can get computer glasses that have some power to reduce the focus, that lift of eye strain. You can put down that weight, and that can help. The other issue that people aren't talking about is the fact that we have too many screens. Like over here, thankfully, if we have one computer screen, we do have one laptop, but a lot of people have two. Yeah, you sit in front of 2-3 monitors at a time. Yeah. And when you're in front of those monitors, you're not just using your eyes to look left and right. You actually are moving your neck constantly, left and right, all day long. Even if you keep your head still and you shift your eyes to the far sides, your neck muscle does engage. And you can do this. You can actually take your hands and put them on the back of your head.
Like this.
Like that, but like kind of splay out your fingers like that. I have to push pretty hard to feel it on me, but if you keep your head straight and feel right at the base of the skull behind where the ears are, just face toward me, but then just shift your eyes far left and as far right as you can.
Feel the muscle move.
Did you feel that? Yeah.
Holy shit, yeah.
Yeah, it tenses up. And so your eyes are priming your neck to move in that direction. So if you're just looking left and right all day on your computer, your muscles are constantly like, I'm going. So people come in with a lot of not just headache, but eye strain, but sore muscles, tight neck.
Oh, that's so interesting.
And so they're getting cervicogenic issues that are related to not just the neck, but the pain and the tension of the...
What did you call that? Cervicogenic?
Cervicogenic. It's cervicogenic issues. I'm not a supreme specialist in it. My girlfriend actually is. She knows way more about it than I do.
What is she? Is she a doctor as well?
Yeah, so she is also an eye doctor. but she specializes in neurooptometry, TBI, brain injury rehab. So I knew a little bit about it when I went to school, and then my residency I did a little bit, but I never really specialized in it. And she is at the top of her field, and I'm constantly learning from her. And she works in a specialty, multidisciplinary section, multidisciplinary clinic with a physiatrist, and then she's got OT and PT in the same clinic. So obviously, someone gets in a bad car accident, and now they have double vision, or they have all these strain issues from TBI, or can't focus, they can't function, and they have neck pain, whiplash injury, and so they have to end up seeing all these specialists for several months, and she helps them rehab and get working.
That's awesome. That's so specialized too.
Yeah, and so she gives a lot of lectures around the country and internationally on these subjects, and so I've sat through her lectures and learned a little bit from her.
Yeah. This is making a little sense to me too, because like I always have like stingers in my neck and back. Now I lift 6 days a week, so I've always just kind of assumed it's because I'm pushing my body. But I wonder if some of that is emanating from the fact that I've spent the last 6 years, coming up on 6 years of my life, moving. I mean, you saw my setup, moving screen to screen all the time. Because like even when I'm not on this, I am in front of the screens. I built this thing editing. Like I still do a lot of that stuff.
And props to you for doing so much of yourself and building up such an incredible platform.
Thank you. Thank you. You too, man.
I know it's a lot of work.
Yeah. But that definitely could be related. Because like it's just something that'll happen. Like I'm dealing with it right now. Every 3-4 months, I'm like, fuck, there's that stinger. And I can't think of when I did it. I'm like, I didn't do a lift wrong. I didn't feel something weird after a lift. It just kind of like propped up.
There might be something to, again, your posture, your repetitive movements. And so now I've been trying to work on my posture and my kind of my ergonomics at work, and then setting a timer so I have frequent breaks to get up and do something different.
Get these chairs.
Yeah, these ones.
Start. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
They're literally called, I think it's like, fuck, I forget the name of the company. It's a Swiss company, I want to say. Yeah. What's it? Hag?
It's Hag.
Is it just Hag? But it's like called the ergonomic chair.
Yeah.
Because of what it makes your elbows do and everything, and lean back like this. Danny Jones showed me this and made me order them, and I don't regret it. It's good stuff. Yeah. The Hag Capisco.
Yeah, it is comfortable. I'll give it that. Like to sit in here, I feel pretty engaged, and what I like even better, honestly, for me, is my lower back and hips aren't hurting. They don't feel tight, because a lot of chairs that I've had, even the one that I use at home, which is like an ergonomic chair, I still get really tight hips.
Yeah,
and I don't know what's kind of unique about this. It's just like the slopage or something. It works well for me.
Yeah, that's another thing people should be integrating, not just necessarily for eyes and all that, but for your posture, because everything's downstream from each other, obviously. Sure. But like the whole standing desk thing, I think is huge. Yeah. I think I see more and more people using it. I keep one out there with a couple screens like on the island. Mm-hmm. You know, that we're not meant to sit under fluorescent lights all day like this in front of 3 screens and with our back arched like this. Like, you can't tell me that's not affecting fucking everything.
Right. And then taking breaks is really important, and this is something the eye care field has repeated over and over and over again. I'm sure people have probably heard at some point the 20-20-20 rule. Ever heard of that?
Maybe. Did Cal Newport invent that?
It's totally made up. I don't know who made it up. I know that an eye care professional made it up basically for like a news sort of thing. Okay. It's like a rule of thumb, good habit. It's not actually based on real science. In fact, they did a study in 2023 to challenge it to see if it had a clinically meaningful benefit, and it didn't. It meant that every 20 minutes, you should take a 20-second break looking 20 feet away.
Oh, no, that is not what I was thinking of. Okay, 20-second break looking 20 feet away.
Right, and that was to relieve eye strain from seeing on the computer and phone all day. But what they found is that 20 seconds of a break is not enough. You need to go longer. It needs to be closer to at least 2 minutes or a minute and a half. And I try to go to 5 minutes. I adopted the Pomodoro technique. Some biohackers talk about it a lot. But it does. It helps. There are clinical studies showing that people who work for 25 minutes, it's like, I'm going to sit down with intention to work for 25 minutes, and then I'm going to intentionally take a 5-minute break. Doing something else. not thinking about what I was working on. I'm going to get up, I'm going to go get water, use the restroom, go step outside of my balcony, enjoy the fresh air, check my mail, practice some golf swings or something. So it's like a mental break. It's a physical break. You're getting up, getting some movement in, and then dive intentionally back into your work. And it actually, there's at least one study that shows people have better productivity. They're more efficient because they're intentionally setting those breaks. And so I've been adopting that. I have a timer on my desk that I use.
The little circle thing?
It's a dodecagon for me, but there's many different products online.
I just got one of those. It actually is a nice little productivity hack.
So, and I think that's also good for the eyes. Like you're letting go of that weight for at least a few minutes, giving your eyes that little bit of a break. You're hopefully blinking a little bit more normal. And so that's another thing people can kind of take away.
What is a normal blink rate you should have like per minute?
Normally in conversation, it's somewhere around 20 times a minute on average. But when you're on the screen, it drops down to 4 to 5 a minute.
Whoa, that's like a 500% decrease.
Yeah, there's studies will report different amounts, but that's where it's around. It's around 4 to 5 times a minute while you're staring at the screen. Again, we're hyper focused.
Yes.
And kind of like a sniper when they're focusing, they don't want to blink.
Yep.
That's how I think about it. You're hyper focused and you don't want to lose sight of what you're looking at. And then we notice again, people's eyelids don't come down all the way. And so your eyelid will come down just to cover the pupil. So your brain thinks that you blinked, but you actually didn't fully close. And so the tear film isn't spreading evenly across the surface. And your oil glands that release oil from the eyelid to help stabilize the tears, those oils aren't releasing as much. And so there is at least a theory. It's not as strong of evidence right now, but there's a theory that because our eyelids aren't closing all the way, the oil glands aren't pumping. And these oil glands are becoming clogged. They're not being used, so they're dying off. And so we do tend to see not just older adults who spend a lot of their career on a computer have bad functioning oil glands, but then even teenagers are starting to have dry eye disease and these glands dying off. And we think it's because of the heavy screen usage. Again,
I mean, 1 + 1 = 2 on that one. That feels...
Again, I always have to point out that the research right now is not as... we don't have as robust research to confirm that. It's more of a theory, but there's a lot of dry eye specialists who at least anecdotally report, we think this is tied to it.
Are you seeing, like in that vein, are you seeing already evolutionary changes, whether that's physically or just like use-wise with the eyes that has been happening over the past 10, 20 years as a result of us being way more digitized?
So I personally haven't seen that. It's also tough because evolution takes many, many generations. But I know some pediatric specialists have been discussing a phenomenon where they've noticed that kids who do have exposure to tablets, iPads, and they spend a lot of time up close. Usually when you focus up close on an object, you not only converge your eyes have to turn in, right, to keep it single. Your muscle inside has to flex and focus, but then your pupil also is tethered to this. And usually when you're up close, your pupils get smaller. And they're noticing for these kids who spend a lot of time up close, their pupils aren't getting smaller anymore. Somehow there's been a disconnection neurologically that these three components, this triad between the pupil, the accommodative muscles, the ciliary body, and your medial erecti with conversion should all be tied together. Now the pupils are relaxing and the pupils are getting larger. So they have like dilated pupils while they're looking up close. And we're not entirely sure like what the benefit of this would be, or what the ramifications may be down the road. But I've had some pediatric specialists report that they're seeing a lot more of this now that they've never seen before.
And that may be in some way, like especially with the kids that have the tablet in their hand right after birth or, a year or two after birth, like we might end up seeing kids literally born with that as a result of...
I'm not sure if it's going to pass. I personally don't think genetically that's going to pass down.
Okay.
But I think we're going into kind of like, this is totally like imagination thinking what's going to happen in the future. I do have thoughts of how our autonomic nervous system is influenced by device use and by being in this constant state of like dopamine. I need to be entertained. I need to be in wow mode.
Autonomic nervous system?
Yeah. So your fight or flight type of response, right? If you're being hunted by a bear, it's like, do you either run away, do you freeze, or do you fight back, right? And so when you're in sympathetic tone, you're going to fight. You're going to do those sort of responses. And usually in sympathetic tone, your pupil gets larger. And when you like to see something, like that's why a lot of, have you ever had a professional poker player on or anything like that?
Not on the podcast, no, but I played a lot of poker growing up.
And people do what? They wear sunglasses while they're playing poker. Why do they do that?
Because their eyes dilate and they get excited.
Exactly.
Yeah, does it tell?
And so when people are excited all the time, their pupils, they're getting the sympathetic response to pupils to dilate. And so I wonder if another issue with our body's hormone regulation is being thrown off because we're kind of being put into this constant state of alarm, this constant state of like, I need to be paying attention. I need to be stressed out or cautious. Is this having an effect on our cortisol? Is it affecting our stress levels? And deeper, is it affecting our central nervous system to some degree? And is that changing us as a species? Again, this is, I'm not a specialist in this area. This is just kind of my fun thoughts where my brain goes late at night.
You have to think about it. And again, like you said, it's going to take decades to even really put that type of takeaway together, because you have to see it develop over generations. But it's a valid question, just because the curve of how we're changing our day-to-day life has never moved as fast as it's moving right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have, I don't know, like guidelines that you give parents for their kids, or even for the parents, by the way, because everyone's fucking addicted to phones, about how much they should be using their phones or what they should try to limit in their life to try to prevent some problems?
Well, I know the American Academy of like Pediatrics, they do have like guidelines for young kids on like they shouldn't be on screens, or for certain age groups, like avoid screens. If they are on screens, it's only for FaceTime. And if they're on a screen, it's only for educational purposes at like an hour a day. They have certain guidelines up to like the age of 6. I personally just tell, again, the same thing. Let's get outside, take breaks every 25, 30 minutes from, near device stuff. Those are usually kind of the recommendations that I give.
You don't have kids yet, right?
No.
Have you thought about when you have kids, like what your recommendations as a father are going to be?
If I ever had kids, and I don't think I probably will, but if I did have kids, I would probably try to keep them away from phones and devices other than for educational purposes until they're kind of required. Because a lot of like kindergartens now are giving kids like iPads, so it's like, you're not going to keep them away from it. They have to learn and adapt and evolve and learn those skills too. But I would definitely try to put a limitation on it. I think as a young kid, I got way too sucked into video games, right? As like an addictive thing. And my parents, growing up, at least, are like, hey, you get 1 hour a day. You got to finish all of your chores. You can't do more than that. They did a good job until I was probably 14. And then they're like, he's mature enough. And I just played nonstop. So I think there is I wish I would have spent more time playing outside. I wish I would have been more adventurous to be like, hey, let's go try golf. Hey, let's go try biking. Hey, I think as a parent, I would try to encourage like a weekly adventure. Like, hey, this weekend, as a family, we're going to try something new that we've never done, just to show kids that it's okay to try something new and be bad at something.
Yeah.
Because you're having fun, you're exploring life. I think that's something that maybe I didn't get as a young kid. We had kind of a family routine of, we went bowling and we'd go to the same restaurants. And I felt like as I got into college and I had more freedom, I was like, oh my God, there's so many things I can do and try. And it's like, gosh, I wish I would have had more of those experiences at a younger age. And so that's
outside the box. I like that.
Yeah. So that's, I think, just getting out of the house and learning those life skills. That's okay to suck at something at first.
Yeah.
but it's also great to just have those experiences and enjoy life. And how are you supposed to know that you're gonna like to play a certain sport unless you just try it?
100%. I also think it's going to be interesting to see the kids that have been born since 2021 and are continuing to, come onto the earth who were not affected by the stoppage of COVID. To see how they develop and what their relationship with inside versus outside is as they grow up. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, didn't matter what age you were, whether you were 5 years old or 13 years old, there was a stoppage in life that happened with COVID. Everyone went indoors. Things went to the screens. They went from like ubiquitous to fucking everything.
Yeah.
Like a whole different level after when COVID happened, such that for all ages, but I'm focusing on the kids here who were in development years, the expectations of where you spend your day and how you spend your time completely changed. And so now, even if these kids that are being born since then are being born into a world of all screens and everything around them, are they not going to be jaded by the idea of like, oh, I got used to the comfort of being inside when I was forced to be there, versus are they going to be more thinking, I want to go see what's out there. I want to explore. I want to do new fun things. That's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I think we do tend to fall into our own comfort zones, right? There's a tendency of like, hey, well, I'm safe at home. I'm comfortable. It's warm. I don't have to get out of my bed. I don't need to stay in my pajamas. There are a lot of us who fall into that trap. And so there may be some direction people go there.
Right.
Otherwise, my hope is that people at least learn to adventure and realize, this isn't the best. It's good to get sunlight. It's good to get out of the house a little bit. Air quality is better outside usually than being stuck inside all the time. We know that from research studies on kids that their rates of myopia skyrocketed up because they were inside all day. I've talked to a lot of teachers, both in optometry schools and even like a lot of my patients are their teachers, right? They come in to have their eyes checked, and they're all like, kids are different now after COVID. Like they think differently, they act differently, they learn differently, and who knows how it's going to change now with AI, right?
That's a whole nother ball game there for sure.
How is that going to change our skills, our learning, our critical thinking? Because we've spent the last 20 years just Googling everything, right? You just I don't know what that is. Let me Google it. Well, now it's
V2.
Yeah, now you Google it, but you get an AI answer served to you, which sometimes isn't always correct. So
on Google?
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
So I don't know. There's certainly a lot of teachers talking about that, of like, how do you know if someone's using AI? They can sometimes tell. But how is it affecting our critical thinking?
For sure.
And our investigative skills and our questioning, right? If you're raised in a world where you don't have to question anything, then maybe you're more obedient. Maybe you're, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to, echo down the future.
Well, I like the way you think, Doc, and I like how you're not a doomer about stuff too. Like you're a realist and you're looking at practical applications in addition to the medical ones when that's necessary. But, we need more voices like that too, because it is easy to get scared of a lot of, or just have fear about a lot of the things that are coming out that are foreign to what we've known for humanity. But I do like to think that we've always been able to, use new technology over time to progress and get to a better spot. Human history's proven we've done that over and over again, even when we have growing pains. And I'd like to think that some of the stuff we're going through now, as it may pertain to using the phone too much, is causing some problems, but, might just be a growing pain that we, no pun intended, grow into dealing with better in society. So there were some amazing tips you gave today about, different ways that we can help our eye health and help our overall health as well. Like your scope and knowledge is really impressive. But people can follow your YouTube channel down below. You're putting out content all the time over there, which is so cool because you got your practice, you're doing this, and you're educating the masses, and we're going to have to talk again, my man.
Yeah, happy to. Thank you. Yeah, people can always find me not only on YouTube under Dr. Eye Health. I'm on all the different social channels, right? Instagram and TikTok. And then we're starting our own Dr. Eye Health podcast that's being launching here very soon.
Excellent.
So we're doing deep dive interviews, but with a lot of experts, not just in the field of eye care, but in other areas around medicine and in health, and trying to get real answers about red light, what's really going on from the people who are engineering and designing that, and trying to better understand, bring on surgeons in the specialty of like doing eye surgery and asking them like, what's with suicides and LASIK? Like, what's going on with that? And trying to understand to deeper complexities. Right.
Love it. All right. Well, we'll have it all linked down below. And also they got the collab feature on YouTube now. So we can put it so that people can literally just click right below this video and we're going to have your channel right there. So make sure you go over and subscribe. But thanks for dropping a lot of knowledge today.
No, thank you. This is cool.
All right. Everybody else, you know what it is. Give it a thought. Get back to me. Peace. Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.